Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, anyone, anywhere, anytime you hear this stream, whether it's live or recording. Welcome to 10 Forward. I am one of your co hosts here, NB Geek. And today we are planning on talking about evolution of movies in a very fun way. But if we trail off topic and hit a few other geek things because we're geeks and that's what we do, that's what happens. So for the next 60 to 90 minutes, we will try to stay on topic, but we make no promises. That being said, as I said, folks, I am your host, NB Geek. I have been a geek pretty much since I was 7 years old. And also joining me, my good friend from California, the man who makes Twitter trolls cry and mops the floors with their tears, Jack Beers.
Hello. Bones says hi.
Hey, Bones. Bones, good new shirt, buddy.
Yeah. I gotta switch it up every so often.
You gotta be careful of those moths, man. You know how they like to come around.
Mm-hmm.
At least he doesn't have to worry about mosquitoes biting him and his skin getting itchy.
See, he's lucky there. He doesn't have any skin to bite onto, so.
So did you we'll get on topic about filming and everything. So who won the race? Because I meant to I had an answer to your picture who would win, and I was just going to, and unfortunately I got my son or somebody came in here and I forgot to, because I was going to be like, you my boy Blue for the win.
I love that. I kept Blue Shield and I had Rocket Raccoon ride. I think it was Delta, but yeah, it's like he's like the perfect size to ride one of the Raptors. I was like, yes. Nevertheless, I like it was against like if it was against Wolverine, like in the picture, he's got adamantium bones and healing regen. I think he'd mop the floor with them.
Oh sure, but come on.
Yeah, still, I think it'd be a hell of a fight. I think it'd be a hell of a fight scene, though.
You're gonna sit there and just like, I'm sorry, but I was watching, and since we're talking about film, Lisa Victoria Parker, hello. I am.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sweetie. That is my girlfriend.
Oh, that is your girlfriend. Hello, ma'am. How are you today? Nice of you to come by. So you're stalking your boyfriend. See how it is. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. It is perfectly acceptable on this channel. Trust me. My wife will come in here and smack me or stalk me if she wants to. In fact, most people prefer it. But anyway, where were we going?
We're going to start talking about movies, a history of film.
Yeah, history of film and stuff. I mean, I kind of went through and I was looking at some of the history of it. And I think that one of the reasons, I know we were getting buzzed and high and we were talking last time, which is fine. It's my channel. We can do that all we want because that's fun. But, we talked about the history of filming. We got into what I think is really a fun topic that I want to really dive into one day is the golden age of Universal's, horror. I mean, it's a very in-depth area. I'd love to look at, but I think sometimes I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry.
Bless you.
Darn it.
Bless you.
Thank you. But what we have is, we have a kind of culture generation, and I think as you someone who went to film school, probably have a better understanding of the history of film from the beginning to now. I was just
I can talk about like the kinetoscope and Lemaire's brothers and stuff like. I can talk about all of that. I have
that's good because you know what? Wait a minute, hold on a second.
I have movies from the 1800s, the late 1800s.
That's how. Yeah, I'm looking. Well, what I did was I was looking up something, and you just said their names, and I just saw them, the Edison Lamar brothers. I was on, I was doing a quick review, and just kind of going through, and me, I don't use Wikipedia as a site for sources. Sure. I go to real sources. So I found the history of film on Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, for those of
Mhm.
you who don't know those many younger ones who might show up later, let me explain what Encyclopedia Britannica was. That was that thing you basically got that was a shit that was like an entire bookshelf long of just massive amounts of information. You could find just about anything you wanted in there.
It's like
And they
Wikipedia, but in book form.
Yes, that's what it used to be. But unlike Wikipedia, you couldn't go in and nobody could just go in and edit it.
True.
So there's a wonderful list of history here. So you know what you brought it up. Educate us. You said 1830. Saying the early years of film, the 1830s to 1910, and they do mention the Edison and Lumiere brothers. They mention and you're gonna probably have to explain
Yes,
Meles
yes. Like it's hard for it's hard for me to pronounce it, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But what I will say is like I think it was like around 1890 is when Edison like invented the kinetoscope, which allowed people to view the stuff. And
Is that the thing
like
that went like this?
yeah, you look into the thing and you do this. And now here's another fact. The theaters that housed these kinetoscopes, you put in. So what you do is you go into these theaters. They called them Odeons, and you go in and you put a nickel in, and then you turn the crank and you can see a little 15-second movie. So when you put the nickel and the Odeon together, it's called Nickelodeons. So those theaters were called Nickelodeons way before there was a channel.
No shit. No way.
Yeah.
Nickelodeon. That actually, if you think about it, that makes totals. So was this kind of the crank version of a flip book?
Yeah, it's like a flip. I mean, like that's kind of how all of those that's how film is. It's flipping. It's like a flip book where you see one page, you see another, except they're frames, and they're going by so fast your brain is putting it all together as moving pictures. Yeah. So yeah, but they had the Lumiere brothers. They started around the same time. So it's like these different entities kind of discovering, film and how to play it at the same time. But what happened was Edison, from the American side, he patented everything. Yeah, that he could. Anything, like he had people working for him, inventing stuff for him, and then he would patent for himself. He would pay them like a fee or whatever, and patent for himself, and then he would just make all of the money off of it afterwards. And so he got into a deal with the guy. I think the guy's name was Eastman Kodak, but it's the guy who's behind Kodak, and a few other.
A very good point of ViewMaster. I hadn't thought about one of those in forever.
Yeah, like a ViewMaster. Yeah. So they where was I? Oh yeah, so he came up with this union of filmmakers, and if you wanted to get into this, if you wanted to make your own film, you had to buy a license from them. You had to buy their equipment. And you basically had to go through them. If you didn't, they would
basically.
Yes, and if you try to go around them or make your own camera equipment or whatever, they'll either sue you, or they'll send people after you to either beat you up or break your shit, break your equipment. Goons, they would call them. And so the first movie studio, because Edison lived in New Jersey, the first movie studios were in New Jersey. And the problem is the people who didn't want to go through Edison and his team and stuff, they decided instead of like staying in New Jersey and risking whatever, they were going to try and go as far away from them as possible. And so
they went to California, didn't they?
they went to California, and they didn't just open in Los Angeles. They first opened movie studios all over the West Coast. In San Diego, here in San Diego, they did. In Los Angeles, of course, that's where Universal Studios when it opened at around 1915 or so.
So sorry,
They
sorry,
had.
I just
Go ahead.
no, sorry, just curious question. So you mentioned they wanted to get out from under this guy's thumb. Okay, was this a like a group effort? They all kind of agreed to maybe get up and leave, or did maybe some
No,
of them started and then the windfall?
yeah,
after?
some of them started. That's exactly how it started. Some of them went over, and then other people started learning that people were going over there, and so they all went over there. And
And
around
they probably started seeing, hey, this is a more successful, viable option than staying here. And yeah, there's was probably a windfall.
Plus the California terrain, you got mountains, you got desert, you got beach, you got like forest areas, you got all. It's such a diverse environment that you can just drive a couple hours away and go to any climate you need to film in.
For those of you who don't know, I was in California for 7 years, and I lived in an area that was very arid, very dry. But if I drove less than 2 hours, or actually just right at 2 hours, I'd be at Donner's Pass. And I know you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. From the Donner Party, yeah.
Yeah, Donner Party, yeah, exactly. So I'd be up in that area, no problem. And then you could go down a few hours and end up in well, not even for me. I mean, I go to a big city like Sacramento, or actually a really great town that most people don't mention much, Roseville. I love that place. It's probably the only big city It's probably the only big city I ever loved. And I lived right in the town next to it in Lincoln, which I thought was like the greatest hideaway ever. Dude, I got a 2-bedroom apartment for $750.
That's that's impossible to get nowadays here.
That was only 8 years. No, dude, that was crazy 8 years ago.
Yeah, now it's way too expensive now. But and part of the reason why it's so expensive is because you have the entire Hollywood industry over here. But yeah,
what they did was you're saying is they started going to different parts. They saw California had a benefit, which was probably at the time a good tax benefit, maybe less restrictions, maybe
less restrictions, definitely. At the time, land was cheap at the time as well.
And that proprietary over there in Jersey didn't transfer over to California. So,
well, I mean, Edison knew what was going on, and he did send people to try and get it under control. But then what happened was he got sued by the federal government. His union got sued by the federal government. It was declared a monopoly and broken up. Suddenly, at that point, that was around 1914, somewhere around there. And so at that point, anybody could open a studio and make their own movies. And then the following year, that's when Universal Studios opened. I know Warner Brothers, they started in like New York, and then they ended up moving to California. All these other studios started moving to California, and then eventually the ones in San Diego and Sacramento and San Francisco and stuff like that, they started closing down or moving to Los Angeles because by 1915, Birth of a Nation had just came out, and it was the first blockbuster, I guess you can call it.
It was yeah. Look, folks, it's just a fact of history.
It is. It's a fact.
It's a fact of history. It is just a fact of history. We have to deal with that. You got to understand. That's just the truth. Being pissed because we mention it is not going to advance anything. All it does is mean you want to forget. Sorry, I'm a history buff. We can't forget these kind of things. Otherwise, they could happen again.
Oh, and Burbank was, yes, it was one of the first film locations for studios as well as Burbank as well.
Burbank, California. Oh, beautiful.
But yeah, so
downtown Burbank.
Now, what Birth of a Nation did was it was a movie. It was one of the first movies that was more than like 15, 20 minutes. It was a few reels long. It was a full length movie, and so around that's when people started making full length movies instead of these like 15-minute things.
Now,
Um,
Jack, I was kind of looking in that Britannica thing there about that, and there was something about how the run reel was the 15-minute, and there was an
yeah,
issue. There was pushback about multiple reels because of cost and I guess expenses and stuff. So there was a pushback about longer videos, for lack of a
right,
better.
right.
Uh,
I mean, there was a pushback to everything that happened, even sound.
yeah,
When they added sound, yeah, there was a pushback when they did that because suddenly these silent actors they had to learn lines, they had to memorize the, they and sometimes they may look good but they don't sound good.
oh
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah,
We're getting ahead of ourselves because we can
that
definitely talk. No, 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 dude, you are fascinating. I want to keep this going flowed. So I'm sorry, you're going to be doing most of the talking because I want to listen. I just want to ask questions because this is actually freaking intriguing.
thanks. But yeah, I find it intriguing too. Just the fact that Edison was such an asshole that he created the Hollywood industry, like unintentionally. It's interesting. I love that idea. But um, but yeah,
Now,
so
when you say Edison, are you talking? What? Give the full name for anybody out there who doesn't.
Thomas Alva Edison.
Thank you.
He was the inventor of the light bulb, inventor of
Allegedly,
alleged.
allegedly.
I'm just going by, yeah. He invented all this shit, but or he actually no better yet, he patented a
That's
lot of
fine.
shit. Yeah, but yeah. So
Strike
that was
me. Don't strike me, YouTube, for that.
so that
Well, we all
was.
know.
So, but once Edison was out of the picture, suddenly they opened in all these L.A. places, including Hollywood. Hollywood was it was a tract of land that was just lemon orchards, and then someone bought that tract of land. He was looking over the mountains or whatever, and there were people around and stuff like that, and he was on one of these mountains, and a he saw a peddler, an Asian peddler, and he was pushing like a cart of wood, like just a bunch of wood around, right? And so he was kind of curious, so he was like, "Hey, what are you doing there?" And the man responded, "Hauling wood," but in a very Asian accent. And
Uh,
it gave him the idea of, oh, that's a great name,
Hollywood.
Hollywood. So that's one of the there's two versions of how that name came. The second one's a lot more boring, uh, and I don't exactly remember it as much. But
Anyway, the whole point is there's as Ahsoka Tano said, there's always a little bit of truth in legends. We
sure,
may
yeah,
never always know, but it's interesting how it started out on the East Coast and moved to the West Coast, and it was because people are like they started thinking for themselves, like, okay, this person is holding us back. There's got to be other play, and they were smart enough to think, hey, I still want to do this. I'm gonna take a risk. Let's get as fuck far away. Where's that? California, Washington.
hmm
I mean, seriously, it that's actually logical and it makes total sense. It means you have a business idea, you have a passion for something too, and you're willing to take the risk.
hmm yeah. So by the way,
Oh,
it
oh
wasn't
really?
just called Hollywood. They called it Hollywood Land. So when they first decided that they were going to sell these tracts of land, they didn't think it was going to be like there was a movie industry or anything. They just wanted to sell
Hey,
land. They
Jack.
put up
By the way, Jack, she's more
yes.
than welcome to come up here. She's
Oh, I mean
absolutely
that's
more.
if she
If
wants to
she
come up,
wants
that's
to,
fine. That's fine.
it's totally up to her. She can set it up on there, and she is more than welcome to come up. She seems to have a lot of good things to say. She might as well come up on the panel, and you guys can educate me because
I
No,
mean, yeah, sure.
seriously, man. I am dead
Okay,
serious. I am
I know.
loving this film history stuff. So please continue.
Yeah, so what they did was they put those letters up on that mountain, uh, but it didn't just say Hollywood; it said Hollywood Land. But they
So,
did that to attract to attract people to come and buy parcels of land from them. Um,
oh,
but they decided to keep it. They liked it, so they decided to keep it. And then they just eventually got rid of the land part, and it's now just Hollywood.
by the way, Jack, go ahead and if she doesn't, go ahead and DM her the link I already sent you. If she wants
I
to
will
come
do that
on.
right now.
Yeah.
I'll do that right now.
I had not known. So how long has that sign Hollywood or Hollywood Land? How long has that sign actually been there?
Oh,
You know?
I don't remember exactly. I know it's since they developed the land. Ever since they
Really?
developed it, yeah.
Okay.
Which was probably over 100 years at this point.
Hmm. I mean, I'm sure they've taken care of the stuff and everything, maintenance.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah,
So, so
they actually
anyway,
take care of it.
continue. So continue on. You were going after you were getting right after the Thomas Edison, the kaleidoscope stuff. People are starting to be like, wow, we can actually see. I mean, for lack of a better term, things on film or whatever they would have called it back then versus seeing it. I mean, let's take it from a perspective here of someone of that time frame. 1840s, 50s, 60s, 70s. You get to that point where all of a sudden, there's all this, live action stuff you've seen because you see plays, you see live stuff, and every now and again you see something great in a story or a picture, and all of a sudden you're looking at something and it's going so fast and quick that it looks almost real because in their mind, even though in our 21st century mind, it looks real. Oh, hold on 1 second. Hello, how are
Hello,
you?
Hi guys. Hi sweetheart.
how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Hi, welcome to
Thank
10
you.
Forward. I am NB Geek, and of course, I've known Jack now for over a year. He's
Mhm.
been one of my co-hosts and one of the best friends I've had quite through a while. So it's very nice to meet
Nice.
you.
Yeah,
So,
we've talked a couple of times. We ran into each other a couple of streams in B by any chance.
oh, we have?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah, we were last week. I know he did the film thing. That's why I wanted to talk about the evolution of film. And
Mhm.
I didn't know how we were going to go about it, but I thought he'd definitely take the lead on it. And I am absolutely. Is that a Yetza? Possibly.
No, that's my Orville avatar.
No. Never mind. That's I'll explain that later. Don't worry. But no, I knew he was in a film, and we were having a great
Okay.
talk at the end of the last time when we ended my last stream, and I wanted to really go back into this, and I know he's passionate, but I didn't know I know he's passionate about the film, but as I'm listening, I'm like I had no idea how knowledgeable he was because I didn't know this stuff. Like when I said I was just checking the history, and he said the names. He said the dates. And he said these. And I was like, wait a minute. I think I just recognized like. I was like, whoa!
I probably read those things through once or twice, maybe. Yeah.
But no, that's when I was like, I know he's knowledgeable. I've never doubted that, but the breadth of his knowledge on this history so far has just been enjoyable. And then I'm seeing you in the chat, and look, I know it looks like we're probably the only ones here. You know what? I don't care. This is all about us having fun. It's not about who shows
That's
up.
fine.
It's about we all have fun. We have a great time. And you were bringing up really good stuff, and I'm like, really, really. I'm like, You might as well come up. No, seriously. That's why I said you might as well come up. It seems like you guys might have, educate me. I love this. This is my favorite kind of stuff. So now here's so we were getting to the point where we're talking about getting to the crank wheel. Are we getting, or sorry, not the crank? Are we getting to right around the point you said with the whole Thomas Edison stuff that how do I put this? We're about to get into the whole, and I'm going to say this because I saw it on there. The guy doing the whole thing where he actually takes a video of himself sneezing.
Oh yeah, no, that happened earlier on. I'm trying to remember what year, but I think that came out in the 1800s, the late 1800s.
That was like 1890s ish.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's sneezing, man. It's just it's one of the first films ever, basically, and it's just a 5-second thing of a guy sneezing, and that's it.
Just before Buster Keaton, all that stuff. Yes.
Well, I was looking at it and I was like, it's in the Library of Congress, but I'm like, this is why this kind of was, I was going here. And I'm getting relaxed and I'm a little drinky drink and I'm getting a little high, but it's my fucking channel, so I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So,
sure.
it was just really interesting to see that. And it's, you got to start somewhere. Everything begins at some point. And we've seen, I think people are, and it's okay. We all take something for granted we don't think about. But when you have a passion for something and you love the history of it, you don't take advantage of that. But we have to be honest. We do take advantage of other things that sometimes. But if you respect other people's stuff and you don't do it intentionally and you start to remember, hey, there's something about this evolution that means a lot to you and the purpose of this. Respect the history of this person, It may seem like it's no big deal, but somebody had to start somewhere. I mean, somebody had to start coming up with the idea of a flip book, a camera reel. And I mean, think about this. Think about this, and I'm not trying to jump ahead, but think about this though. What if when the Oscars denied Tron a special effects chance because they said it was cheating? Could you imagine if that was just the end of it? Oh, I'm sorry, we lost her. Oh, she's back.
Yep.
There we go. Trust me, it happens all the time. But I'm just saying, there's some really good perseverance, really good working through with a lot of things. So what you've been saying and what I've been learning about the evolution of filming, I mean, I'm actually impressed because, I swear if you didn't have these innovators go out there and do this, film wouldn't be where it is because it's innovation. So please continue. I'm done saying. I'm gonna mute now. You guys can.
Okay. So I mean, like as I was saying, it was around 1915 or so when like these movie studios started amalgamating in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Around that time, that's like when Warner Brothers, I think, about 1913 they started doing, or no, 1917.
Yeah,
1917. They went.
World War I. Yes.
Yeah. I know Walt Disney went to Hollywood in 1923 to pursue partooning.
Yes, he and his brother Roy.
Yes. And Walt and Roy, they were both they were partners for like their whole lives. Yes. Walt was the imaginative, creative person, and mm-hmm. Roy was the money guy. He was the one who took care of the finances. Mm-hmm. And they would often fight about finances, which is kind of funny. But in the end, Walt always got what he wanted.
I muted myself there. No, so interesting. So you had the left side, the creative side, and the right side, the logical, economical side. That's
Yeah,
a good match.
yeah, and it worked. It worked. And but either way, like Roy always tried to give Walt what he wanted because he knew how creative his brother was.
Yes.
So so yeah, so that it was around that time that they went. I around like there was color, but it was really slow and expensive process.
Yes, because the paint had to dry. It took so long to dry, I think, if I remember
Yes.
correctly.
So eventually they came up with Technicolor. There was a company called Technicolor is
Yes.
and they found a way to film in color. But once again, it was expensive, cumbersome. They had to you had to use their equipment. Uh, they usually they would have like a they would send a Technicolor expert out to help you like with the filming and everything. But it was really expensive until around the 30s.
Yeah.
Around the 30s or so is when they started doing more color stuff.
Yeah, they
Um,
with
and
the
eventually it got cheap enough. Eventually it
it
got
was so
cheap enough to
right.
do.
And I know one thing they did too, Jack. I don't know if you remember this or not, but they also had where they had the live action and they can put it with the animation kind of stuff, kind of like Mary Poppins kind
Yes,
of stuff. They
yes,
did that with
they
I
figured out
think
how to do that. Yeah,
I think it was called the
Um,
Alice films or something.
I have to go
hey
back and find
everyone.
out.
Welcome my friend from Ireland, Darth
Hey
Revan.
everyone.
Hey,
Hello.
hello.
Hey,
Hello.
well, Revan, we're getting an echo from you.
I don't understand how my headphones are separate to the thing.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Is that any better? Because whatever feedback was seems to have
Oh,
disappeared.
wait. Uh, hold on a second. Let's see. Sorry, I'm not used to muting people. So hold on a second. I'm gonna mute each person. I'm gonna see if I hear anything. Okay, just so give me just a second. Test 1 2 3. No. Test 1 2 3. Okay, no. All right, Revan. Test 1 2 3. Yeah, Revan, I'm getting it from you. Sorry, bud. I'm getting some feedback from you. Yeah, Revan, I'm getting some feedback from you.
Any
All
better?
right. Hold
Any
on.
better?
Nah, I'm still hearing myself in the background.
Oof.
Wait a
I
minute. Let
can't
me
sort
see
this.
something here. You good, bud?
Yep.
No, I'm still getting.
I can't. I have no idea. No, I'll bounce out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm. Yeah, I'm sorry, Darth Revan, but or Potato Revan now, but yeah, it's coming from you. Sorry. Damn it. Sorry, guys, but we gotta, sometimes we got technical difficulties. We gotta troubleshoot them out, and that's unfortunate. Darth Revan's a good friend of mine too. Um, Jack met him last time. We had some fun.
Oh yeah, he's a nice
So
guy.
let's go ahead and continue, guys. So where were you at on the whole film history thing? You guys were really
We
like
we
gelling on
ju-
this stuff.
we just finished the color, like adding color.
Right. Exactly.
Now, did color come before sound?
No,
Ye-
sound came before because that was in the 1910s. Because they had some early stuff like that with the early Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan,
Yeah,
and
I
there was
remember seeing the early Alice in Wonderland. I've seen it on YouTube. I was doing some research. I don't know why, but I was kind of got a curious thing about films. Oh, I know why. It's right around the time my grandmother died, and my grandmother was the one who got me into. Well, I'm a geek because of her, and
Mhm.
I know this kind of stuff because of her.
Nice.
She took me to see these kind of movies, for fuck's sake.
Awesome.
I saw you know when I saw Die Hard? When it came out in theater with my grandma. And then afterwards, we went out to Ponderosa. And I was like, before anybody else could make memes and stuff, we watched the movie, and then we came out and I was talking with grandma. We were at the Ponderosa. I was like, yeah, grandma, yippee-ki-yay. She goes, motherfucker. I shit you not. That was my grandma. That was my grandma. We knew yippee-ki-yay motherfucker was going to be a hit long before anybody else. Oh, I'm OG yippee-ki-yay motherfucker. I'm also OG. I have a very special place in my heart for Christmas movies. And for me, it's Home Alone,
Mhm.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation,
Mhm.
Gremlins,
Good choices all.
Die Hard.
Good
But
choices all.
absolutely, it has to be Die Hard at some point because it's not Christmas until Hans Gruber falls off of Nakatomi Plaza.
I concur. Oh, I will say about the sound, when they first introduced sound, it was a separate thing from the film. They would put it on like a record, and they would play them both at the same time. That eventually they did away with that, and they were able to put the sound on the film as well.
That's interesting. I was wondering about that. So, we went from the phonograph stuff, and you got to think, if it wasn't for the people doing that stuff, it wouldn't be like, well, what if we could do this? What if we could do that? What if there's an innovation? If you just let people, try. I'm sure there are plenty of people who tried beforehand who failed. Let's be honest. Leonardo da Vinci, one of the most beautiful, you know what? He had the concept of the helicopter and the plane way before anybody else. You know what his fault was? The technology of science at the time.
Mhm.
Well, that wasn't his fault. That was just
That
was just.
wasn't his fault.
It was religion, unfortunately.
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
No,
this,
think
you're a
about-
heretic. We do this.
Well, think about think about this. Maybe I think you two might appreciate this. One of the things we're doing in world history with my kids for homeschooling right now is we're doing the Renaissance. And it's what happened from the Dark Ages to the Renaissance. And then when you really start to dive into what the Renaissance did, I mean, okay, I'm going to say this, and if I was gonna say anything about the best way to compare the Renaissance era was that version of the sexual revolution of the 60s. Now,
Sure.
tell me I'm off my fucking rock.
I can see that. At least
You
300
see
years
where I'm
prior, yes.
Well, look at the 50s. Just look history. Look historical context. Look at the 50s, then look at the 60s of the sexual revolution. Now, look at the Dark Ages. Look at what the Renaissance age was. I
Right.
mean, that was a revolution of a lot of things. And why I say sexual revolution, because it's an explosion of something so different from the previous culture. And as Jack knows, he's a liberal. He knows I'm a conservative. Knows I'm hardcore. He knows what I am. I'm also a geek. And I'm 100% geek. But if you really look at the comparison of that, that was an explosion of ideas, thoughts. It was just something that just exploded more into just one area. It went out. Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael, Benici, the Medicis. I mean, they fought against, and I'm a religious guy. I'm a 100% Christian, but they went against the Catholic Church. They fought the
Mhm.
Catholic Church, and you know what? As a history person, I don't blame them.
Yeah, true.
So
Galileo
you see
too.
where
Galileo was in that mix too, because I know he had a daughter. He had at least I think 4 or 5 illegitimate children, and he had to give them up because he wasn't married to their mother. And so, yeah, I read this whole
oh
story.
shit. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. PCAT. Thank you, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas. PCAT has been one of our most loyal fans. I mean, he comes around. He's on my Twitter. We have a great time. We talk. He's never been on, but he's always more than welcome to. But thanks, bud. But I like those kind of movies and stuff. I think I love good story, and that's why I was talking about with Jack and stuff is you look at the history of film,
Mm-hmm.
you got to look at where certain things are going, but the thing is, and then I want you guys to continue with your history lesson, but the way it sounds is the originals, everybody in this film industry so far, we're trying to always, always, always find the new boundaries, push the boundaries, go to the next level. Not in a bad way, but find a new way of doing something. I'm just pushing boundaries, going over the next level. Now, it seems like it's not about pushing boundaries, it's about pleasing a certain audience and not, it's about making sure we say, hey, we got this person, this person, this person, this person, instead of, we've got this idea for a great show. Hey, we got this idea for a show. It's going to be this, this, this. We have this idea. We have a 5-year plan, but what we can do is easily make sure each season ends, that if it doesn't ever make it that way, it'll still feel like an ending. Instead, now it's like, okay, so man, I got this fucking show, and it's gonna have a tranny something or a number or something, and we got some people of color. What color now? What color's popular? Oh, now we can't use Latino. Oh, I can't say Latino. I can only say Latinx. What's wrong with the O versus the X? Oh, it pisses somebody off? What if I say Latinx and it pisses off people who want Latino? Oh, they don't count? Okay. So I'm supposed to go with the new term versus the old term. Okay. Do you get where I'm fucking going here?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they get so offended easily. Back then, they didn't get offended easily. They just said, okay, let's push the boundary. Let's find the next big thing and let's make it a big deal. And who cares if we make a ton of money? Because back then, it wasn't about the money. It was about the quality, basically.
It was also about testing the waters. Let's go back a little bit here. Sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Forbidden Planet.
True. That was a good one. That was a good one. That was a very good one.
That was one of the first times. But then we got so many great things like Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, and people, I don't like this when people say that sci-fi was taken as a joke for so long. I'm like, no, I'm looking at, so much of what I grew up with. No, I disagree. I don't think it was treated like a joke. Now, maybe at that time, the mainstream media treated it as a joke, but sure as hell the audience didn't. Um, so, but I mean, you're the whole thing about getting into the silent film era. Uh, we need to remind people that back then, right around this time, we're still talking 1910 when the silent films came out. Most people didn't even own a radio back then.
No.
Nope.
Exactly. They didn't even have that. So, how about how was it enticing for them to let's get to the silent film era? Because I really would love to hear this from you guys. The silent film era, they're starting to say, hey, you can watch, I don't know what they would have called them back then, movies, picture flicks, whatever. But the point is,
moving pictures. They call it a moving picture.
oh, moving picture. Oh, moving picture. Okay, that would make sense. That would make sense because you got to understand. People are like, why would they call it a moving picture? Because they didn't have a term for movie back then. Because the movie hadn't been invented, the word hadn't been invented. That's the thing. These people are like, oh, I want to learn history. What's going on? What? You get what I'm saying? See, I'm a totally different thing. I'm going to smoke my weed. I'm going to drink my drink. I'm going to smoke my... But, dude, you guys are so awesome with what you're talking about. I want to keep going with it. So, that said, continue. Please.
Okay. Well, I mean, like I think Charlie Chaplin's first movies were in 1913.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. He started off in Britain, of course, he was a theater actor, and then he moved to the United States. He moved to Hollywood, and he started doing movies, and he got.
Whoa, hold on a second. Anybody hear that noise?
Yes.
Yeah. Whoever muted themselves, I think
that's me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Is that the fire alarm?
Probably.
Oh,
I can barely hear. I can barely hear it from out here. To be honest, it doesn't bother me.
I can hear from where I am.
If I open the door, though,
everybody can hear it here.
Yeah, it's clearly me.
Yeah, go take care of it.
I've been wanting to tell you about the jazz singer for the last 15 minutes. God damn.
Poor Jack.
Dude, go take care of that thing. Woo. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete, no shit.
Yeah. It is. It's loud when you're talking to him. When I'm talking to Jack, when it's just Jack and me, it's loud. Because one time his went off, in a couple hours mine went off. So, yes. Whew.
Oh, damn. That's crazy. You did you do film school or some kind of area in that? Or
Actually, I'm a history buff. I love history. But I did do acting when I was in. So I love learning history. And I just basically I geek out and I nerd out over so much, and I learned so much because I was like, okay, but yeah. I know Charlie Chaplin also did vaudeville too. And
I don't know much about Charlie Chaplin. I mean, I know some things.
I know he tried doing a talking movie where he had a speaking role, but people were so used to him not speaking. It was so weird for them to hear him speak. They were like, wait a minute, you're this silent film actor and you're suddenly talking? Because
You
for them
know,
to shift from the silent
actually,
films to the talking ones, it was so weird for people to adjust to.
that was actually something this person who was supposed to show up tonight was going to talk about. Oh, sorry.
No, you're
I'm
fine.
drinking. Yeah. Well, he said that one of his relatives, a very, very old relative, who had only
Okay.
ever seen a silent movie, said scariest thing was going to the movie, hearing sound with the knife dropping, and somebody saying, "You're gonna pick that up."
Mm.
Now, if you think about it, and all you've ever seen is a silent movie, yeah, that's gonna freak you the fuck out. I
Yeah,
don't
because all you hear
understand
is the
why people
background
are
music.
saying.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't understand why people don't grasp that concept where they say, "Oh, come on, that ain't real. Why is that a big deal?" And they think it's a bunch of redneck hillbillies like me. It's like,
Mm.
no, dude, we get it. We understand some things make people afraid. And yes, if the only time you've ever seen a movie in theater, it's always in silent, all of a sudden there's
Hmm.
speaking, there's sound and speaking words. Yeah, that'd be a fucking shock.
Sure. I mean, these people are just going through, getting past the war era. They're getting past the Depression era. They're still pins and needles. And then to hear somebody suddenly talk, like, wait a minute here. This was supposed to be a form of entertainment. This was something to pass the time kind of thing. And then to finally hear
Well,
something.
okay, let's take Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Black and white. All of a
Mhm.
sudden it's black and white, and all of a sudden open the door, everything's in color. You're telling me that wasn't a shock value back then?
I'm sure it would have been. I mean, yeah, because like I said, these people were probably like, what am I looking at?
Hey,
Um,
I'll tell you what. When I first saw that movie, I was actually shocked. You know
mhm.
why? Because even though I was born in 79,
Okay.
and even though I'd seen color, I'd seen black and
Right, right,
white,
right,
this was the first time I'd ever seen a black and white movie go to color.
right. Okay, yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that was possible.
Yes. That would be a shock
See,
for anybody.
remember,
Yes.
okay, remember oh God, I can't remember. It was mid to late 90s, maybe, but don't quote me on that. Where
Oh,
they were
I know
like,
what you're talking about. Pleasantville.
no, not Pleasantville itself. That came much later. What I'm
Okay.
talking about is during the no, that came up. There was this thing about hey Jack, hold on a second. There was this thing about they were trying to get VHS tapes out about classic shows. And the classic shows now went from black and white, and now they were saying, and now in color. And
Oh,
I
right,
mean,
right,
it was a
right.
whole new concept back then. So remember, they started doing that where they had taken black and white movies or black
Yes.
and white TV shows, and they were putting color in them.
Yeah, colorized
to-
versions or colorized versions of
yes,
certain
exactly.
movies. Yes, I remember that. Or like Casablanca, because I was always seen in black and white. Or
Exactly.
so yeah, I know
Oh,
what you mean.
by the way, yeah. So yeah, when it went from like that and you go to color, that's why I'm saying for me, I hadn't seen that yet. That came out
Mhm.
later on in my life when they started doing that color thing and they started making it seem like it was a good thing. It wasn't.
It wasn't always a good thing. I'll say that. But certain things should never be done in color, honestly. Certain things, there's something timeless about the black and white version of it. When you see it colorized,
Okay.
it distorts it.
Could you imagine Citizen Kane in color?
No. Just like when they try to do It's a Wonderful Life in color. I've seen it, bits of it, but it's just don't do it, please.
Look, I I don't mind people giving the attempt, and I don't mind them giving the option. There are some people who may like that, but when it comes to certain black and white movies, silent films is not my area, but certain black and white. Okay, do you know what would kill a movie for me if it was in color? Let me just pull this out. Yeah, I'm gonna show
Clerks?
you my. Nope. Fuck Clerks. Give a shit. If they told me I could get this in color, I'd be like, "Who do I need to go beat the shit out of?"
Oh, okay. One of the classic ones, Creature from the Black
Yeah.
Lagoon.
Yeah,
Kind of thing,
he
yeah.
he loves that one. I agreed. Like the underwater shots are beautiful. Nothing, don't change anything from that.
True. I could agree with that. The classic monster movies, yeah, don't touch. Don't colorize those. There was something about that, like The Bride of Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein, the original Dracula.
No, actually, I told Jack that I had only seen The Bride of Frankenstein recently in the last month. I had never seen it. I mean, that's what I always, we always bust each other's balls about. Oh, you haven't seen this? Like, come on, man, we're not perfect. But you know what? I gotta tell you what. When I got to rewatch this in Blu-ray, god dang, he's
Mhm.
just so.
Yep. There's something
So
sophisticated about it.
we had the whole thing where evolution went through, the schooling went through, innovation went through, and of course, here's where the problem came in. Once it's marketable, the next it's crazy what these what's crazy about these people back then? Think about it. Once they found something good, they always stuck with it. They never thought to go to the next level like we do now. Now it's, hey, this is good. How do we make it better? They were like, if it's good now, it's good forever. They were so stupid to fight each other on that. Could you imagine if there wasn't such a big fight on the show? I mean, by the way, if I read correctly, wasn't the first whole film, camera like almost a ton?
Something like that, because they had to put on
They
like
were huge.
they had to put on like they had to put on like a trolley kind of thing to maneuver.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
humongous.
Yeah, they were very large.
Yeah, they were larger than life.
Technicolor stuff was even larger.
And then when they went into CinemaScope, that was even larger. Those were extensively huge. That's one reason why they would say, well, now it's now in CinemaScope. And they'd say, okay. And then it was expensive to make those. Those were not cheap films to make into CinemaScope. That's why I think we only saw, I want to say maybe 100 CinemaScope films. But other than that, they stopped making them because they said it's too expensive. It costs too much money to make this. No, but I think they were short-sighted. They weren't stupid, I think, I think they were just short-sighted. They didn't have the vision and they didn't see the foreshadowing of things to come to say, you know what, we've got a vision here. We can make this better. They didn't think about it. They were short-sighted, sadly.
Right. And the other thing is, it was just very expensive to do. So like sometimes they were just limited by the money they had.
Exactly.
And so when you don't, when you have a budget of like $1 million, but like Technicolor's like $500,000 to do or whatever. I mean, are you going to spend that money, or are you going to, are you just going to go, let's just do black and white. We'll be able to do everything else that we want to do. So, I mean, sometimes it was a practical choice.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question. Okay, so let's. I think I have a great way to go with a topic here. I'm curious, and if you think I'm jumping too far ahead, that's fine, because I'm really curious. But okay, so we're in the silent film era. At this time, most people still don't own radios. there's no such thing as TV, so the only way you're going to see um, uh, visual entertainment like that is theater or the movie theater. Okay, you get
or
where
the
I'm going.
Nickelodeons.
Or
Yeah.
Yeah, the Nickelodeons. Thank you.
vaudeville
Yeah.
shows.
Where do and the obviously the film started taking off and enjoy. So here's the thing. And I kind of want to pivot back to sound films because I was remembering something I saw. So the silent films at the time were, set up, they were done, they did a whole thing, but there's music and in some cases, live music.
Mhm.
Why live music for a recorded show? I'm just curious. Was there a thought behind that, or
Yeah, there was. If you don't mind
Yeah.
me saying
Go ahead.
So
no?
in case the film reel broke, they had to fill in the gaps, so to speak, basically, and that would help tell the story and entertain the audience and stuff like that in many ways. So
Yeah.
I think that's what
And
they had.
it was
the
also
live
good. It was also a good beginning act. Like when
Yes.
people would come in, they would start playing something, and normally, I mean, just playing music in an event is always like kind of soothing, calms things down.
Mhm.
Gets the audience
So they
senses
were trying.
participated.
So they were trying to cater to the comfort of their audience.
Yeah,
Right. To
Yeah,
entertain
'cause
them between
I don't even know if. Like, I don't even know when air conditioning was invented, but there was no air conditioning in those things.
No.
Big warehouse where they're projecting something onto a wall in the dark, and there's maybe a couple hundred people in there.
And maybe one massive fan in there, but that's not going to be enough to.
So it's going to be uncomfortable in there, and so they try to cater to other comforts as when they could.
Exactly. To get their mind off the heat, get their mind off being crowded, and then they also didn't have refreshments too and everything like that. So yes, I mean they had to
Hey,
do something.
Ambassador, how you doing, Ambassador Kosh? Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, Ambassador, happy
Hello.
birthday!
Happy birthday!
Oh, it's his birthday. Happy birthday, bud. Sorry, I have been kind of in and out of Twitter. It was busy. No, I had to tell Jack again. We had to push it to 2 again because I had family issues to deal with again. Well, actually, it turned out to be a good thing because, we went up to Terre Haute and got my son's brand new queen size bed. And, he was on a full size and, he's 14 now and he's a boy. And, we got him a queen size and mom picked it up, bought it, and we got it. I pulled my trailer in and had a good time. Ambassador, if you'd like, let me know if you'd like to come in, buddy. You're more than welcome to join. I'm kind of playing backdrop. I'm more asking questions between these two lovely folks talking about film history because they have this wonderful knowledge that I am just wanting to soak up. And unfortunately, we're going to run out of time at some point. We're going to have to do this again. But Ambassador, if you want to come in, let me know. Let them know. You are welcome to come in. That's it, guys. Please continue. Why was the what was the concern about the talkie era? You went into that where it was like, but you said that, but you also said that it wasn't audio video. There was audio and then there was video, right?
Right. They recorded them on like little records. They call them Vitaphone discs, and they would play them simultaneously with the moving pictures. And that's how they got sound. The first one to do that was the Jazz Singer from 1927. Finally got to talk about it.
Please continue.
but once they added sound, and then like there was color, but not every movie had color until around the 1960s, I would say. But now that you had your sound and your color, it started, the golden age of Hollywood is what they usually call it. It starts from the 30s and goes into the 40s. And that's when like all of this other stuff that we all love started coming out. Dracula came out in 1931. Frankenstein also came out that year. The Mummy, the Universal monsters came out. You know what I mean? I would also say Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came out 1938. That was
37.
Yeah. So somewhere around that time, and that was the first like Walt Disney movie, like full length animated movie. And it won like a bunch. It won like a very special Academy Award.
Yes.
It was actually.
Now, think about what you're saying. If we, this has not been brought up, but you just kind of said this: Dracula and Snow White, same time frame.
Mhm.
Right. Within the same.
How many people know that besides you guys?
I mean,
Seriously, think about the beauty of this. Think about the fact that we're talking about two groundbreaking genres, and this is what I'm saying. This is why I want to talk about this with you guys, because I think people are spending too much time. They're like, yeah, this is doing this. Oh, great. When's the next upgrade? Motherfucker, you want to know how far back you have to go to get to where you are now? I mean, people are like, when I saw that camera, and I read the weight of it, and it was like, the weight was like, I think 1,000. I was like, wow. I was like, and I wanted to say this, the balls to even attempt something of that. You got to do something that weighs that much, costs that much, just to do this. Talk about grabbing your balls. And when I say grab your balls, and anybody has a problem with that, let me tell y'all something. I told my daughter one time, I finally told her, and Jack knows this because Jack knows much of my story. I told my daughter one time, she's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do, I don't want. I was like, you know what? I'm sick of hearing what you don't want to do. I want you to grab your goddamn balls and do what you need to do and know what's right. And you know what I got a few weeks later? My daughter called me up. She's like, Dad, I moved. I'm over here. I'm like, okay, that's good. Great. She goes, Dad, I grabbed my balls. I think I told you that story, Jack.
I don't know if I remember hearing that one specifically, but yeah, I mean, you tell me stories.
Yeah, I'm good at that. But anyway, so where do you guys want to spend the last? We'll go to 90 minutes. Where do you guys want to spend the last 22 or so minutes on? Because I'm curious. You guys got this really good film dynamic going. Hey Jack, I'm gonna tell you right now, we're taking this in the next week.
Mm-hmm.
You guys both want to? I want to take this in next week. I am having an absolute blast learning from you guys. You guys are blowing my mind. Sorry, Bones, but you're just sitting back there chilling.
He's the fourth wheel.
Yeah, He's been trying to wave at everybody.
I feel like he deserves a little time out now and again, and so does
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you guys? What do you guys think? When it came to the talkie era, what do you think or what is the historical, in your opinion, of the opposition of having that.
I
Okay.
think,
Go ahead.
to me, it's probably where they were trying to get, because they didn't think what the actor was going to sound like. They were like, no way this actor is going to sound like this. Like, they had a preconceived idea about what this particular actor was going to sound like. And when they actually hear their actual voice, it's like, what? That's
Yeah.
what they're freaking out. Like, this doesn't mesh up with their mental image in their heads of what this is going to be like and everything.
Right. And yeah, and that became a problem. Like suddenly you had to look and sound good.
Yes.
And you had to memorize lines.
You did. And if you didn't fit that mold of what they wanted to do, then they would redub your voice with somebody else's, if I remember correctly. They'd find
Yep.
somebody else to talk for you and say, wait a minute. And then that's one reason why sometimes some of these people say, oh, I did the speaking voice for, say, Mary Pickford and everything like that. And then somebody said, well, wait a minute. I thought Mary Pickford did all of her voice acting. And a lot of people says, no, she didn't do her voice acting. We didn't like how her voice sounded or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, there was people that redid dubbing and stuff like that for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
that was the reason why people didn't like. Also, Charlie Chaplin resisted. For a long time, he resisted doing talkies.
He did.
I think The Great Dictator is his first talkie, isn't it?
It is, and everybody freaked out about it. And I think a lot of people did like a huge boycott against that film, saying, "Don't watch this movie. I know it's a Charlie Chaplin film, and we all love it, but don't do it." And they said because his voice is not going to sound like you think it is. And everybody's like, "What? He talks?"
Also, he plays a Hitler.
Yes, yes.
A version of Hitler.
Is that from the? Is that from that Robert Downey Jr. movie where he played Charlie Chaplin?
Yes.
mhm.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
I've seen clips of it to know that yes, he's mimicking that scene. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But but that was 1941, so we kind of jumped ahead there.
Yes, we're going into the war era where a lot of movies then shifted into war stories, basically, to get the war effort. And there was all these film reels to say buy war bonds, and it became basically a propaganda to support the war and stuff like that. Because certain films got reshelved and recategorized for films for the war, like Dumbo was recategorized. Excuse me. But there were so many others that they would redo just to promote the war, to get people interested in it. And a lot of these films were going into the war too.
Yeah. So, and what that's around the time where they started putting stuff before the movie.
Reels.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of those. Yes, very much so. It get people, the audience, wondering what was going on in the war and stuff like that. Now, I don't think they do the film reels. Now we just got the trailers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, oh God, trailers. They're not trailers. They're giving you either half the movie or. Now look, I did 2 reviews about Picard season 2 trailer, and then I did one about Matrix. And man, I'm going to tell you what, Matrix has my interest. I'm curious. They're piquing my interest to be like, okay, I want to see what the answer is. I'm curious. And that's about the best way you can get someone like me in. Picard, it's kind of like, look, if I want to watch X-Files, I've got it over here in the back of my fucking Joe. Look, I got every season of X-Files. Trust me, I got them. They're all right there.
Yeah, the trailer for Matrix, by itself, it's actually not bad. I think it's a pretty good trailer. My issue with it is they don't even tell you how Neo is alive, and I don't like that I don't like mystery boxes like that. Like, especially, like we know that he's died in the last Matrix movie, So now he's alive in
So
this
did,
one and jacked into the Matrix. I don't understand and they don't explain it. So I know it's going to be one of those things where they'll explain it halfway through the movie and it's going to be unsatisfying. So I don't know. I'm not really.
When did you become a sourpuss?
I don't
Come
know.
on, Jack. You've never been this.
I mean, I'm tired of reboots.
Agreed.
No.
Yeah.
Enough with the reboots. We need
kinda tired of
original.
reboots.
We need original, good
Look,
quality
I-
content.
Like they did in the 30s.
And 40s and 50s, yes.
Yes. But I mean, like, we're still on the 30s, aren't we? I don't even know at
We're
this
in the
point.
30, 40-ish.
Yeah. Because I know Gone with the Wind came out in 1939.
Correct. And that
Yeah.
had like 4 directors for that one.
And of course, that was one of the, greatest movies, according to a lot of people.
Mhm.
Alfred Hitchcock started his career, I think. Well, he started really, really early, but I think he didn't get really popular until the 30s.
Yeah, I think with because I saw one of his first ones. I think it was called Shadow of a Doubt, if I remember correctly, and everything like that. Because I think that came out around that era.
Right.
Because the
Hold on
remake's
a
not too
second.
bad, but that one was
Ambassador,
good.
hold
Shadow
on
of
a
a Doubt.
second.
Thomas Cotton.
Ambassador, my theory, Neo has been cloned. Okay. But is it the same consciousness, same with Trinity? Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
It's possible.
I was wondering. I don't know. It's a good. Look, here's my problem. This is really where I'm having a lot of issues with people. I think it looks like a good trailer. And people are second guessing and making projections and hypotheticals. And that's why I put out, look, no, I'm not doing this shit. I'm going to base it on the goddamn trailer. Nothing more, nothing less. If the next trailer changes my opinion, we'll see. But if it's enough, I'll go see the movie. And then I'll make my decision.
But yeah, I've fallen for the good trailer thing where like the trailer's good, so I'll see the movie, and then then you get stuff like He-Man.
Yes. Yeah. Because they put stuff in the trailer that's not in the actual film.
Hey, that wasn't our fault. That was we actually gave Kevin Smith faith.
A little too much faith.
A little too much, yes. We gave him a little too much leeway.
Yeah. I didn't even get my kid over to the set.
I know.
Oh my God, I'm so disappointed. I spent half a year anticipating that stuff, and then it all went to shit.
I remember.
Yes.
Yes,
But,
I know. By the way, I know this story. He told me.
Yeah. Like my kid was invited to the set of Clerks 3 by Kevin Smith through a cameo. Like I bought a cameo for her, and the cameo is like a video shout out, is what it is. So you pay money and they do a video shout out for whoever you want to do, and so that in this one he actually like invited and said you can bring your folks or whatever. So I was like, I know I'm going because I'm the one that kind of set this up, I guess. And B, I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. I would love to share this with my kid. 3, I want to spend time with my kid. Like this is a great opportunity. So that was what I was really excited about, like anticipating all that stuff. I was really excited. I have a Clerks 2 script that's signed by Kevin and Jason, and I wanted to bring it with me because I wanted to get Dante and Randall to sign it, as well as if she was there, Rosario Dawson. I was really, really interested in meeting Rosario Dawson this way. So, but the reason why that didn't work out, it's not Kevin Small. What happened was COVID union guidelines. They said no guests. And so he was in, if he wanted the people to make the film that he wanted to make, he had to follow their rules. So it is what it is. I do hope he makes up for it one day.
Yes, hopefully he will. Hopefully he will.
But yeah, so that happened, and then right after that happened, He-Man dropped.
Oh God, man. Okay. All right. Let's get the history of film. Okay. Let's get the history of film part 2 and our off topics to next Sunday, because I kind of want to have a little backstage talk with my cohorts here, because I really want to have a fun talk with them. So we'll see y'all later. I'm not even going to bother with my outro. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.